Like, I know you were saying, there are people playing throughout the Six Nations, but someone who didn't even get a look in was Sam Simmonds, and he's now made it onto the squad. So, what did you make of Sam?
That's the beauty of the Lions and selection. That's quite traditional in some ways, although, Sam's capped. In 97, Will Greenwood came on the tour as an uncapped player. And I think it was a bit of the way that the Lions used to do things back in the day. Warren Gatland is an incredibly experienced, savvy coach. This is the third tour he's leading as head coach. He didn't pick Sam Simmonds just because Eddie Jones hadn't picked him. He's picked him because he sees some true quality and ability in that man who can be a point of difference. These days, we're used to the back row being massive brutes, aggressive, big ball carriers. And Hamish is the scourge of most teams. He looks like a whirling kind of man from Borneo. He looks like a crazy man. His hair's all over the place. He gets in, his sleeves are rolled up. He slows opposition ball down. He carries reasonably well. He's an annoyance, and I'm sure if he gets in that test team, he'll be a massive annoyance to the box and a massive frustration, and someone who could win lots of penalties for Dan Biggar or Owen Farrell to knock over.
Or Finn Russell.
Finn, yeah.
Dan or Owen. Sorry if you misheard me.
Ryan, Scotland did well, didn't they?
Well, yeah, they did as well as everyone else. I think we did as well as expected. We had a good Six Nations, and some boys stood up. And like you said, it goes on merit. I think most of the Scotland players, you wouldn't see a Scotland player go in there that hasn't played, like a Courtney Laws who hasn't played any rugby. So the good thing about all the Scotland boys, they're all going on merit from a good Six Nations, like Jerry spoke about.
Well, I think you guys, the Scottish boys, have the same amount as we do. And we have our first Connacht line in like 38 years. So that's class for Bundee.
I think when George North got injured, I looked at the Lions squad, and I think most players, or most pundits, have picked their Lions squads, and you want balance in your backline. You certainly want balance in your midfield, and the way George has played in the midfield this year, I think he would have been that guy against the box. You want balance, you want tactical game, you want footwork, you want pace, but you also need a focal point to attack, someone who can win your yards in, right on the advantage line up against lots of defenders. And George would have been that guy. Once he got injured, I looked across the midfield in the UK, just thinking, right, who is in the frame to be that ball carrier? Henshaw's been on form, deserves to go, no doubt. We all know John Davis is finding his way back to full fitness. So, he obviously didn't get selected. He'd be a bit disappointed. Now, not many pundits would have picked Bundee Aki, but if you think about the way Warren Gatland coaches, he knows him from his days coaching the Chiefs. There's not many better ball carriers around. Guys that can really win you the advantage line, who are playing Test rugby in the UK. England don't have any. They're missing Manu. And certainly when George went down, that I think that opened the door for Bundee Aki. And I love the fact they've picked Duhan van der Merwe as well, because I think he's a guy who can be a real superstar on this trip. Has pace, power, real evasive skills. And it wouldn't surprise me if he starts on that first test, because the Lions are going to need guys to give them real punch. And he's going to be as effective as any midfielder in doing that.
Well, look, it also came as no surprise to us, I think, on the show that Alun Wyn Jones was selected as captain. Jerry, is that who you would have chosen as captain?
Again, if you ask me at the end of the autumn internationals that we had, no. I wasn't sure that Wyn Jones could hold down his place in the side, let alone be captain of the Lions. But his performances in the Six Nations again were just supreme. He led by example for Wales, and a good player, a player that can make a World 15 or give himself a chance to make a World 15. His worst game is 7 out of 10, and that's where Alun Wyn Jones got to. Martin Johnson was a player whose worst game was probably 7.5 out of 10. Alun Wyn Jones, every time he plays for Wales, puts himself up for man of the match. And I don't think you can ask anything more of your captain than that. I don't know what he says behind the scenes. Jamie will know what kind of spokesperson or what kind of leader he is, but certainly on performance, for how I would have responded as a player. I don't respond from words very much. I'm very much led by what somebody can do on the field. And, you know, when you've got a captain who asks you to do something and can do it himself and more, you can't help but follow.
Fair enough. Well, I suppose someone who is in disagreement about Alun Wyn is the South African media, who have labelled him as a pensioner who needs a wheelchair. Do you guys think that he actually does have enough in the tank to start each test match and to lead from the front? Jamie?
I do. Look, Jerry spoke about his performances in the Six Nations. I was probably the same opinion. Like after the autumn series, I think a lot of people back home in Wales are probably questioning, they've lost quite a few games. We lost to Scotland at home. How is the Six Nations going to pan out? But both him and Ken Owens actually came off long-term injuries and played all 5 games and produced amazing performances in a Six Nations winning side. So that's a testament to their professionalism. It's a testament to their ability as test match players to produce after not having played much rugby. You know, these guys probably don't have to play club rugby. They can just get there straight away. They don't really have to warm up. They can reach those heights straight away. They know what it's about. And Alun Wyn has played in all 9 of the past Lions test matches. Let's not forget that. He didn't start all 3 in South Africa, but he started the last 6. No one in the professional era has done that. No one has done that. No one has that experience. No one really has that experience to know what the Lions tour is about. So, you know, since Wales won the Six Nation, there was a lot of chat around it. I think in most people's minds, it had to be Alun Wyn. When you looked across the candidates, yes, Hoggy, Owen Farrell, Marrow, I'd chuck Ken Owens in there. Johnny Sexton obviously didn't get picked. But experience, leadership, leading by example, I don't think anyone comes close to Alun Wyn. And as what I've just said, is he fit enough to play test matches? I think he's shown he is. I think he's shown he can reach that test level without playing club rugby. So he's more than ready for me.
I'm not saying he's not fit enough, but genuinely, I think you can get away with having someone on the field like that with his experience, his leadership, that actually doesn't need to be fit enough. As long as you put him with a young enough bloke that's going to back him up in that second row, he can
like Marrow.
Around. Listen, I'm not bagging all second rows here, but it's a pretty easy job. You're in the middle of the scrum. Right? You're not at the front, so you're not getting people.
Brave man.
You're not at the back. You're not getting like shredded by defenses, and you pretty much stand around where the ruck is. So you don't actually need to do that much. You just get through it, line out cooler, get it to your best jumpers. It's a pretty easy job. So for his leadership and his experience, have him in there all day long, because you don't need the best players on the field sometimes. You need the best men, and you can tell that he's one of them easily. That's what I
will add on Alun Wyn Jones is that the game is a physical game and it's about effort. And I've not known a playing colleague in my career that could match his enthusiasm or intensity. I always prided myself on bringing energy to training. I could never top him. I could never. However hard I tried, first to the next drill, bring as much energy as I can, micro chat in amongst the lads, just bringing that bounce, what it's about. I could never top Alun Wyn Jones. As hard as I tried, I could never do it. The bloke's been doing it for 15 years at test level and at club level. And so, that's the sort of bloke he is, regardless of his skill set and how old he is, whatever. He has this ability to bring an energy that is, I don't think, matched. Let's
not forget his influence he'll have on the referees.
Yeah,
all throughout his career, I believe as captains, when he's been captain, or even just as a player, he's not someone that referees have highlighted. Oh, he's a serial penalty giver awayer, or he's always having an argument or a point at the referee. If Morrow was made captain, you'd be a bit worried that it might stop him from being the player that he is. If Owen was made captain, you would have thought, he's always going to be chomping at the ref, and that will take away from what's actually going to happen on the pitch. It would be a story in the media. But with Alun Wyn Jones, everybody around the world in rugby has huge respect for him, including and importantly referees.